Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, pitched camp in Kalonzo Musyoka's backyard. And many of his followers have been saying that they are waiting for a Tosha moment when Rigathi Gachagua would show them the way. Because the truth is, Rigathi Gachagua has managed to get grip of the mountain. He has actually locked out Ruto and all his allied MPs from the mountain. Those who impeached him, those who voted to impeach him, are now aliens in Mount Kenya because they don't see eye to eye with the people. You've seen the way they are being heckled and chased. And Rigathi Gachagua endorsed Kalonzo Musyoka and said that he would ensure that he rallies the support of Mount Kenya and many of his supporters all over the country to give Kalonzo Musyoka 10 million votes. And I know where Kalonzo is, he is very happy. You all know that Ukambani was added recently. Kambas were added to the list of Gema. I understand that they used to be together, but Kambas disintegrated. They were now reinstated. They are forming a bigger alliance against William Ruto, who seems to be forming another one together with Raila, Wetangula, Mudavadi, people like Oparanya, Joho, Alfred Mutua, and all that. So we need to see, we are waiting to see what will happen. Of course, if you ask me, Okia Mutata anaweza pita hapo katikati because he's never been tainted. All the other political class are all the same. But I don't want to delve into Rigathi Gachagua's speech. One person who shocked me is the brave former second lady, Pastor Dorcas. Pastor Dorcas was at the center stage in 2022 when they were campaigning, and she led the clergy in campaigning for the Ruto and Gachagua ticket. And she was at the forefront telling people that for the first time in the history of the country, we had a duo that had been given to us by God. But after the impeachment of her husband, after watching the way things transpired, Pastor Dorcas took that opportunity to apologize to the masses, to their supporters. And she likened William Ruto to the biblical Saul, telling us the first king of Israel, saying that God himself had chosen Saul. And she said that even God himself regretted choosing Saul as the first king of Israel. And she was saying, even them, they regret choosing William Ruto to lead them. And she was saying that that was a mistake, but they will never repeat that mistake again. They are going to scrutinize those who they want to place in power. And I was watching and listening to Madame Dorcas, and I was wondering, how does Mama Rachel feel? Because they have been good friends. Mama Rachel says she's a prayer warrior. Madame Dorcas is a pastor. How does she feel? And do they see eye to eye? And do they even make calls to each other?
Tulikuja na tukaongea na tukahubiri kabisa, tukasema hii serikali ya Kenya kwanza itakuwa serikali ambayo haitakuja kuharibu, itakuja kutengeneza. Lakini tunatoa apology kwa sababu siku ile unakutana na mtu huwezi jua mtu wa aina gani, na ndio Biblia inasema the heart of the man is desperately wicked, but when you see somebody you cannot tell the difference. When God elected and anointed King Saul, God himself, not a pastor, not a bishop, not a prophet, God himself, the creator of heaven and earth, he saw a man called Saul. And he said, this is a man, he's a good man, he's handsome, he's tall, and he is a good man, wise, he'll be able to lead Israel. But after a few days, God himself comes and says, I regret having made Saul the king. So if God can regret having elected someone or anointed someone and even appointed him over his special people, who is a pastor, so we can make a mistake. But a mistake is bad if you repeat it because it becomes a sin. So this time, as you are saying, we are going to look and we are going to pray and we are going to make sure when we are talking, this time God will guide us with his wisdom.
You know, Madam Dorcas has always supported her husband. She's always beside him. They say behind a successful man, there is always a woman. And I think Madam Dorcas is that woman behind Rigathi Gachagua. She's been with Rigathi during the impeachment process. She protected him. And now she's also beside him as they lead protest and rejection against William Samoei Ruto. And when you look at things, I know she regrets. You know, she was the second lady because her husband was the second in command. And politics is very dynamic. How time flies very fast. And titles have changed because she no longer enjoys the title second lady. The title goes to Kindiki's wife. I don't even know her name. And I think Kindiki's wife is a bit passive. She does not want to get so much into politics. But then, ladies and gentlemen, what is your take on the speech and the warning and the caution and the regret that Madame Dorcas expressed? When you scrutinize that speech clearly, you will realize that Madame Dorcas is ready to help champion a rebellion against William Ruto. She harbors that very pain of her husband being humiliated because the way Rigathi Gachagua was ousted from office was humiliating, to say the least. And having, looking back, the way she worked hard to ensure that they rallied the support of Mount Kenya, and now the betrayal, she's going to take part in the campaigns against William Samoei Ruto. Together with Rigathi Gachagua, it seems Madam Margaret is determined to ensure that they lock out William Ruto from the mountain completely. Completely. They don't want to see or hear that name, William Samoei Ruto. And three, she's ready to help Mount Kenya seek for alliances for a bigger coalition. And they have started with Kalonzo Musyoka. The journey is still very far because I can see Rigathi and Kalonzo. But there are names that have been floated. We have people like Matiang'i, Okiya Mutata is there, and I know there are many others who are still on board, coming on board. So we are going to have a bigger vehicle, and I know there is space for everyone. The only question that we must tell the opposition, if they are led by selfish, tribal, and sectarian mission, then I can assure you that William Ruto will defeat them very early in the morning. They must let Kenyans tell them who they want, because by the end of the day, it is the Kenyans who will decide who they want to vote for. So they should also accommodate many others who are eyeing the presidency. Because if they're not careful, William Ruto is going to play Moi tactics. And among them, some of them will be sponsored. And if the opposition is disintegrated into pieces, they will divide votes. And that is how William Ruto will safely ascend to power. Because the truth is, Ruto is the most unpopular president. Ruto is the easiest president to defeat. That I can assure you, because people are tired. If a snap election was to take place today, everything is in shambles, from the SHA, the Taifa Care, to the vaccines that we are being subjected to. I mean, to the way William Ruto is talking to people and forcing things and insulting people. Life is difficult. Ruto is the easiest man to beat. But the easiest way to give William Ruto a victory is to ensure that they are led by pride. For example, if the Kikuyus are going to join forces with the Kambas and they say, we have got the numbers, then they lock out people like Matiang'i, Ukio, Mutata, I don't know who, those who are eyeing, without accommodating them to come on board, to come and sit on the table. I can assure you, it is going to be very, very difficult for them. Because the easiest way would be to ensure that there are very many people who are eyeing the same seat. William Ruto will sponsor even 5 of them. Then election will be rigged, and then experts will be unleashed on all the national TVs, and they will be explaining why William Ruto won, because in a certain region, different people were contesting, and so they divided votes. And this is a caution that if they're not going to follow this, then there is no need even going for that election. I can assure you. But if people are going to unite together and work together and declare in unison and with one voice that we're not going to allow any election that is rigged, and you have decided that we're going to vote and protect our votes, then I can assure you, William Ruto will be defeated very early in the morning. And remember, William Ruto is very shrewd and cunning. With the help of the intelligence, they are busy working on something. And so, looking at Madame Dorcas' speech, you'll realize that she's so determined to ensure that they serve that revenge when it is hot. And they believe that the best time that they will preserve and serve that revenge is in 2027. Because honestly, she's not happy about what happened to the husband. And you know, Madam Rachel was issuing that apology on behalf of the church, because she was saying they prayed and they declared William Ruto their candidate. But you see, the church, this apology is coming rather because the church has left William Samoei Ruto. And I think we've had this before, the church regrets. They're saying that William Ruto used the church platform to ascend to power. He's now perpetuating corruption, kidnappings, lies, and more promises. He's now negating the promises that he gave to people. And so the church is gone. I wonder whether Kenyans will listen to the church once more. I wonder whether this time they will allow the church to point to them another person, because last time they were told Raila was an antichrist. I don't know whether they're still going to listen to the church. And with the confusion that I saw where William Ruto donates money and the Catholic Church rejects, but other churches are saying that it is not bad to take tithe because it is going to do the work of God. The church loves money, the brown envelope. And if that is going to be the case, the church, William Ruto is still going to infiltrate the church. The only difference this time around is that there isn't any leader who is going to tell people to follow William Ruto. We are going to scrutinize all the politicians, especially those who are elected, and they're going to tell us what they have done. We are not going to vote for them because someone has told us. You're not going to vote William Ruto because Kalonzo has said, because you're a Kamba. You must ask, what has he done? If you're a Luo, you're not going to vote for William Ruto because Raila has said it. Raila has got one vote. You are going to scrutinize. Yes, if Raila wants him to be voted in, you are going to look at what has he done. Because the last time I checked, there are only 2 tribes. The tribe of Raila and Kalonzo and Gachagua, the rich, the political class, and the tribe of the poor, they have notes. So when the rich is going to tell you to vote one of their own, you must ask yourself, are you going to live with the consequences for another 5 years? So that by the time you decide to vote for a person, it is not going to be based on what one person has told you, but based on your own assessment. Is he worth your vote? Is it worth your time? Are you going to wake up early in the morning to vote corruption? To vote more taxes? What are you going to vote for? Have you learned? Has Mount Kenya learned? Because if you ask me, they have run to Kalonzo because of revenge mission. People swapped. Raila abandoned Kalonzo, and so there was a vacuum. Gachagua was ousted from his, so he went to Kalonzo. That is how the political class is playing around with us. If Raila would ditch Ruto today, Gachagua would come back. And the alliances will continue. And don't say you cannot follow Ruto again. I'm sure if Gachagua, let's say Ruto just decide that, let's say William Ruto picks Rigathi Gachagua as his running mate. again in 2027. Don't talk about the case because Ruto is the court. They can manipulate, and Gachagua plays appeals, and then he wins the case and Ruto apologizes, and they tell you we only wanted to manage Raila Amolo Odinga, and then he reappoints Rigathi Gachagua or picks him as his running mate. Then they will change the narrative. They will say, the same way Uhuru Kenyatta managed Raila, Ruto and Gachagua managed Raila, and Gachagua will go around and explain to you that we had planned. Even the impeachment was something that we knew. And I know Kenyans were very gullible. That is how you will start following Ruto again. Have we learned is the question. And what is your take on Madam Dorcas' speech? Do you concur with her?